This is Campus Notes, your weekly higher ed show with Guidebook. Real stories from the people building the campus experiences that drive yield and retention.
Okay, well, hey everyone, and welcome to our very first episode in our new Guidebook weekly show. We're still figuring things out here, but we're really excited to have anyone that may have watched the Guidebook Green Room a long time ago, a returning guest, but also our very first guest in this format. And Jordan, I'm really excited that you're here. For people that maybe don't know you, you're the Assistant Director of Destination Iowa State at Iowa State University. And yeah, appreciate you coming on. How are you doing?
Great. Thanks for having me on. It's been a great number of years and excited to be here back with you all.
Yeah, definitely. And we're going to kind of get into a few different things today, but the kind of core premise that, we want to talk about is student belonging, right? And then everything that kind of feeds back from that and the, what you do in your role to think about that and to influence that. So I guess like first and foremost, in your words, in your mind, like what does student belonging mean to you?
Yeah, for me, it goes beyond just having a place. It's students feeling comfortable with who they are, no matter where they're at on campus. So it's not just feeling comfortable in their residence hall space. It's not just them feeling comfortable maybe in a classroom or a lab. It is walking across campus knowing that they are where they are meant to be, where they're comfortable. In a way, over time, it feels like this is home for them.
Mm.
Um, that is truly where I feel students find they say that they belong, is when they no longer are thinking about home or what they call home. It is, this is my new home. I think about students who have said, oh, I got to the second semester and I went home over spring break. And when I was home over spring break, I said, oh, I can't wait to go back home, meaning back to Iowa State or back to the campus that they were at, because they found where they truly, in that sense, belong.
Yeah, I love that. And that notion of home, it's so important and something that so everyone knows what that feeling can be, that feeling of home. And like, is that something you're able to measure or something that's sort of connected across campus and departments? Is that something you can think about at that level, or is that something that's still maybe difficult to actually fully define? Like, how do you know if you're doing well?
Yeah. I think that outside of surveys, and students can say, yeah, I belong. I think some of it is that snapshot of what you see in involvement. How many
Mm.
students are involved? How many students are choosing to stay around maybe during the summer because they're involved or heavily involved? Or it could even be just looking across campus and seeing the interaction as they're passing through from one class to the next. You see maybe the joy on their face, the engagement in their face on campus. You can see that in the food court as you're eating. As are they engaged with one another, or are they, sheltered off? I think sometimes you can read people's body language, and they're closed off. They're sheltered in, and they just haven't found that comfortable space or comfortable environment for them yet.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I think, yeah, that notion of how engaged and what is engagement, and there's many different ways to kind of
Mhm.
track and measure that. I think is a good starting point. And I guess like in your role, how do you think about student belonging, or how do you support student belonging?
Yeah. So we start by trying to make a large university feel smaller.
Mm.
And for us, that's taking Destination Iowa State and giving them a small group of 15 to 20 students that they can start engaging and connecting with. And we get them in front of lots of different organizations. We get them in front of different departments. We try to expand their horizons right when they get onto campus. Um, but I think the thing that really helped students start finding their belonging was our third day, and that is our event that we call Making Your Community.
I love the
And
name.
that is really a choose your own adventure style of where we have a multitude of programmatic options that we make it easy for students to engage with relatively zero commitment, um, zero barriers for them to participate, that they can start testing the waters. Where do I belong? Where is my community? Um, and so that looks like a couple different ways. We have trivia that we bring in a troupe that are stand-up comedians that and improv comedians that host trivia. We open up one of our ballrooms for board games, and students come in and play whatever board games. We provide some, but we see students bring in their own board games. That could be getting them out into the community, into the farmers market on that Saturday, or the community pool or ice arena. That could be even as simple as helping them navigate to Target to get some of those last minute supplies that they need or that they want to decorate their room with. Or going to an athletic event, whether that is our a volleyball match that's an exhibition, or even playing volleyball just with maybe a 4-foot volleyball in our rec centers. We do all of those things that students can start finding where that community lies.
I love that. So, when did you start making your community? When did that begin at Iowa State?
Yeah, that began 2 years ago in 2024. And we tested it just as we often do, is what do the students want? What are they craving? And it was wildly successful. um, we saw, I thought maybe 100, 200 students would show up for colossal volleyball. In the 2-hour time span that we had that going, over 400 students showed up.
Wow.
I thought, I budgeted for some snacks for the gallery of games, so the board games that we had going on. Budgeted for about 250, 300 students to show up. We were just shy of 800 students that showed up during the 4 hours we had that going on, as well as had students lining up about 45 minutes before we were ready to open doors.
Wow.
And so you see those things, and you see students are craving that notion of finding their community, that they're willing to line up, they're willing to go do these things so that they can find that sense of belonging very quickly, even before classes begin.
I love that. And I think that's really important to to your last point there, is that they're looking for that before the education begins, right? It's like you want to feel that you're a part of something, that you found someone or some people that you can connect with and rely on and share shared interests with. I mean, that's really cool. And then, what made you start that? How did it? What created that idea? What happened to make you feel like this was the event that you needed or that you should test?
Yeah, we started talking with students. Students are oftentimes the greatest idea generators. And we just said, what would get you to really want to participate on Saturday, continue participating in Destination Iowa State? What would help you create that community? And they started listing off all different things. And I looked at my director and I just said, what if we did a bunch of those? Instead of, one major signature event or one educational piece that goes on, students aren't wanting to sit in a classroom and learn about X, Y, and Z before classes begin. They want to be engaging. And you talked a little bit about feeling comfortable and wanting that before the education starts. And I think about, Maslow's hierarchy of need in the sense of before they can get to the education piece, they have to start feeling that sense of safety.
Mm.
Not just housing and food and clothing, but they need to also start feeling that sense of safety before the learning can actually occur.
Mm.
Because if they don't feel safe or they don't feel like they have a community, that's going to struggle and in the long term impact their education
Yeah.
because they're not able to focus on that. And so how can we help them establish that prior to classes even beginning?
Yeah, no, I think that's amazing, and great that you had the autonomy and just the belief to go, let's just do it. Like, let's just try what we're being told to try and see what happens. And I'm curious to know then, going into this year and Destination Iowa State, like, how does that event look? Has it changed much? Has it evolved much? Do you have now? Do you think about like how many students you want to try and reach as a percentage of Destination Iowa State? Like, what's the feeling going into this year?
I think for this year I have a better gauge on what to expect.
Mm.
In 2024, we didn't know what to expect. It was new. And then last year was a very unique year that we had some specific, well, our football team played in Ireland. And so we had a huge watch party in our basketball arena. And so that took up most of the day. But we had quite a few students showing up for that. So this year we're going back to that making your community. And it's opened up new partnerships.
Mm.
So we are now partnering with athletics and having an exhibition volleyball match against another big volleyball powerhouse. So students that are drawn to the athletic experience have something to do that day. We're now doing multiple courts for colossal volleyball because folks were waiting in line forever wanting to play. It increases my food orders for catering. It led to partnerships with Target, and Target's like, we loved everyone coming. Can we do more to this? Can we prep more people? Can we have more of this? Yep, absolutely. Let's have these partnerships going out. Um, the pool was great, but it is very weather dependent. It could be storming here and the pool be closed. And so this year we're like, let's try ice skating.
Mm.
Um, Ice skating also is closer to some of our residence halls. So maybe we're going to see more students want to go to that because it's closer. And again, when we talk about taking away the challenges students might face, location matters. And so if they can just walk across the street and go ice skating, they have less excuse to say, oh, I didn't want to do anything or there wasn't anything near
Mm.
me. No, we're going to play in everything right near you.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. That's great. And I guess, how are you managing all this? Like, people having to sign up ahead of time? Is it just like on the day they can just turn up and
Yeah,
do whatever they want?
it is open
Nice.
to everybody. The only thing that we manage is ice skating, and that's just because of the cost associated with it.
Yeah.
And so we let students know well in advance that if they want to go ice skating, come stop by our headquarters and get a ticket for that. And they'll turn that in and we cover the cost for them. Everything else is free for students. And they're able to come and go. And we've staggered events throughout the day. So if they wanted to go to the farmer's market and then go play volleyball, they could do that. Or if they wanted
Mm.
to play board games in the gallery of games and then go to um, Target, they would be able to do that as well. And so there's multitude of for them to pop in and out and find exactly what they're looking for and the people that they're looking for. Not as much of it is about the event itself.
Mm.
It's the people that you're looking for and desiring that connection with.
And have you seen any change after it? Have you noticed any impact of it, having now run it, for a couple of years? Have you seen any sort of visible or measurable impact from running this event?
Yeah. I think some of it is the evaluation, the critical evaluation that I do of our program. And I really enjoy the qualitative side of things. And the number of students that said, like, I've now met my best friend because of participating in Making Your Community. They weren't in my group for Destination Iowa State, but I met them at on the bus heading to Target, and we just hit it off, and now we're living together next year. Oh, okay, great. Or to see groups come together and you see them then later on campus and they're still doing stuff together, or at the athletic events together. I mean, there's so many qualitative and visual things that we see of these students really finding their community with each other.
I love that. Well, Jordan, I feel like we could talk about this all day. I know we're up on time almost, so I feel like, hey, it might be cool to have you back after Destination Iowa State, and we can kind of fast forward and see how did it go, and talk about it a little bit more. But I really, really appreciate you coming in and starting to open up the conversation on belonging and how you're approaching that in your, in the work that you're doing at Iowa State. And I appreciate you being the first guest. Someone has to be the first guest. And I just would love to have you back again soon. And just thank you very much. And I hope Destination Iowa State and Make Your Community go really well this year.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate it.